Welcome back, my amazing kindergartners. It's Miss Johnson here, and we've been working on our 5 senses. We also learned about Mr. Ray Charles, and today I have someone else to teach you about. Helen Keller. But first, let's jump into some vocabulary. If something is deaf, or if someone is deaf, they are unable to hear, lacking the sense of hearing. Disobedient. That means misbehaving or refusing to do what one is told. Frustrated. That means you are discouraged or unhappy. Sensations. Sensations are feelings caused by one of your senses. I want you to close your eyes and imagine sitting in a dark room with no windows and earmuffs covering your ears so that you can't hear anything. Imagine that you can't see and you can't hear anything or anyone. Imagine that you can't talk either. Now imagine that you've got to stand up and move around this dark and silent room using only your hands and feet to guide you. How would you feel if you had to stay in this room? Well, you'd probably feel a little startled and frightened by everything and everyone that touched you. You'd probably feel sorry for yourself and frustrated or discouraged that you couldn't tell anyone what you were thinking or what you needed. Well, that's what life was like for a girl named Helen Keller. Helen Keller was born a long time ago, over 150 years ago. When Helen Keller was a baby, she caught a disease that made her lose completely both her eyesight and her ability to hear. For the rest of her life, Helen Keller was blind and deaf. Remember, deaf means she was unable to hear, living in a world of total darkness and silence. Life was very hard for Helen Keller as she grew up. She became frustrated and angry because not only was she blind and deaf, she wasn't able to talk or communicate with other people. She felt sorry for herself and was often mean to other people. When children tried to play with her, she broke their toys. One time, she locked her mother in a room so she couldn't get out. At dinner time, Helen walked around the table sniffing everyone's food. If she smelled something she liked on somebody's plate, she would just grab it and gobble it up. Helen Keller felt her way through the world, groping and fumbling through the silent darkness. Her senses of touch, smell, and taste were the only connections she had to the outside world. As an adult, she remembered those days by saying, "I literally thought with my body." The only memories that she had from those years were sensations. Remember, sensations were those feelings that she got from her sense of touch, smell, and taste. She remembers that when she was really upset, she used to run outside and bury her face in the cool leaves and grass. Guided by her sense of smell, she would make her way through the garden until she could smell roses and violets, and those helped to calm her down. Helen Keller's mom and father loved her very much, but because she could not understand the world around her, it seemed as if she was being disobedient. Remember, disobedient means Helen did not do what she was told, and it was hard to control her. When she was only 6, her parents hired a special teacher named Sullivan to take care of her at home. When Sullivan came to stay with the family, she figured out that Helen was only misbehaving badly out of frustration and anger. Sullivan knew that Helen could break out of that dark world if she learned to communicate with other people. But to communicate, Anne knew Helen needed to learn a lot of words. Anne Sullivan knew that because Helen couldn't hear or talk, she'd never learn what a word was. She started teaching Helen Keller words by using her finger to write and spell them on the palm of Helen's hand. When Helen Keller splashed her hands with water, Sullivan took Helen's hand and spelled out the letters of water. W-A-T-E-R. And when Helen pointed to herself, Sullivan spelled the letters in Helen, H-E-L-E-N. To Helen Keller, learning from Anne Sullivan was like being born a second time. Suddenly, the world was not such a confusing or frightening place for her. Helen Keller later said, "I had been a little ghost in a no world. I knew my name. I was a person. I could understand people and make them understand me." For the first time, Helen had a way to tell people what she was thinking. When Helen wanted to speak to Anne, she wrote words on Anne's hand. However, it took a long time to spell out a whole sentence. Eventually, Anne taught Helen sign language so that she was able to communicate more easily with others. Sign language is a special kind of language in which a person uses only his or her hands and fingers to make signs for letters and words. People use sign language to speak to people who are deaf or hearing impaired. For Helen Keller, however, there was an extra challenge. Since she couldn't see, she had to feel other people's hand while they were making the signs in order to communicate using sign language. Helen loved learning so much that Anne knew she would love reading books too. Helen left home to go to a special school for blind children, and Anne Sullivan went with her. Remember, Braille is a special kind of writing that uses raised dots on a page. Using Braille, Helen was able to read the words by filling them with her fingertips. At school, she made a lot of friends and earned excellent grades. Helen was determined to be successful, and with Anne's encouragement, she graduated from both high school and college. Later in life, Helen Keller became a famous writer and a speaker. In her books and speeches, she told the remarkable story of her life. Miss Keller never gave up, and she was able to overcome the challenges of being both deaf and blind. I had so much fun teaching you all about Helen Keller today. Let's jump into some questions. What details do you recall about her early life? That's right, she was blind and deaf, which means she couldn't see or hear things. She was disobedient at home. That is correct. She did not listen. What was the name of that special teacher that helped Helen learn to communicate how to read? Anne Sullivan was that special teacher's name that helped her. That is correct. Do you remember the name of the way that Helen communicated and read? Sign language. You got it. And what was the name of that special kind of writing where letters and words are written using raised dots on a page? That's right. The name of that special writing is called Braille. Let's head on over to some word work. In today's read aloud, you heard, the only memories she had from those years were sensations. Say the word sensations with me. Sensations. Sensations are feelings caused by your senses. When it's hot, I like the cool sensations of being by a fan blowing in my face and water on my hands. I want you to tell me about some pleasant sensations or feelings that you experience in some of your favorite places. When I go to the, those are pleasant sensations. Let me see if I can help you with one. When I go to the ice cream shop, as soon as I walk in, those are pleasant sensations because I can smell all those flavors of different ice creams. So we're going to play a little game. I'm going to give you some phrases, and if something sounds good to you, you're going to say those are pleasant sensations. If they don't sound good, you're going to say those are unpleasant sensations. Here we go. The scents of roses and lilies in a garden. Are those pleasant sensations or unpleasant sensations? You got it. Those are pleasant sensations. How about the feeling of thorns and stings from a bee? Those are unpleasant sensations. How about the taste of cake and ice cream? Those are pleasant sensations. How about the sounds of people laughing? Those are definitely pleasant sensations. How about the sense of garbage and old rotten food? Those are definitely unpleasant sensations. What was that word we worked on today? Sensations. I want you to use that word when you're describing things that you like and don't like. It was great hanging out with you today and teaching you all about Helen Keller. Until the next time we meet, see you real soon. Bye.